Welcome back, 1570 AM WNST. My next guest is Nestor Aparicio. Nestor, welcome in.
Extra day to get ready. Another day we get to sit around. I mean, you've discovered red zone, right? You're going to be dangerous with the
Man, I
red
tell
zone
you
on
what,
Sunday, aren't you?
I must have whatever they call that thing where, you like a lot of things going on. It's fantastic. I tell you what, I get to watch almost every game now.
I tell you, on the road, like if this game were in Indianapolis and I were traveling this week, I'd be there a day early. I'd have to go to a sports bar or whatever, watch all the games. I get a little paralyzed by that. Like when there's 5, 6, 8 games on, the Ravens, a lot of the stadiums have walls in the media dining area where all the games are. Red zone, at least you go one,
Yep.
one, 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 and Scott Hansen's gotten very good at being the narrator for that. He's the voice of that, right? But yeah, I like when we don't play at 1 o'clock. I mean, I'm okay with 1 o'clock. I'm okay with the tailgate, getting there in the morning, being done at 4:30, being back here doing post game with Luke at 5 o'clock. That's a normal thing for me. But on these days when we have weird games, because we're good, we're good. We play Sunday night football. We play Monday night football. We got a Thursday game coming in a couple of weeks. These Sundays, whatever, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year, I get to sit around and watch football all day. I like that. And I'm going to be rocking at the races up in Timonium with some friends of ours at King Discount Liquor. So I'm going to be there. They're going to have the games on. But I like a down day. I'm happy we don't stink and play at 1 o'clock every Sunday, right?
Oh, absolutely. And what a great vibe the team has right now, Nestor, ripping off 3 straight wins. Next away game, November 11th at Miami. So they have some home cooking. Looks like they get, like you said, they get the extra day. Hopefully they get a couple of the guys back healthier and you get Bateman back on the field. And Lamar Jackson, all of a sudden looks like he's evolving into a top-notch passer in addition to having the deadliest legs in professional football.
I think one of the things that they've got going for them is the schedule, right? And the way they did well in September. They needed to be 3-1. I think we all said that. We said if they're 3-1 with 4 home games and Lamar's upright. Now, that doesn't say anything about Peters or Dobbins or any of those guys that are gone. I've had the Colts people on all week. You can check all that out at Baltimore Positive if you're getting ready for the game on Monday night. I had a Bob Kravitz on, who, of course, was the Deflategate reporter from the Indy Star. My friend Mike Chappell, who's their Hall of Fame voter out there, just talking about that team and, everything that's going on with them and their injuries. And we're crying the blues about our injuries, but we're 3-1. And that loss wasn't to the Chiefs. Now, the Raiders, it remains to be seen what they're going to be also with the Chargers, who looked pretty decent the other night, too. We're going to see them next week. But 3-1, 4 home games, bye in the middle, home until November 11th. I don't remember a schedule ever like this, Dan. And in all of the history of the Ravens, and I don't think this is the best team the Ravens have had by far, right? I'll put it in the top 10, but I won't put it in the top 5 because we got 2 titles here, amongst other things, plus the depleted part of the roster. But if they're not 6-2, and I wouldn't be shocked if they're 7-1, I think the Chargers present a real threat to them. But I think these other teams, when the schedule came out, you looked at it a different way. We're really on to something here, right? I think that's part. Guys like you and me that have been around this a little while, we look at it and say, if we can keep Lamar healthy, we're going to win a lot of football games here the next 6-8 weeks.
Oh, absolutely, Nestor. And again, they played their first 3 out of 4 games on the road. Road victory at Detroit. Road victory at a very tough place in Denver, right? Denver was undefeated. Yes, against less than stellar competition, but still the thin air, the crowd, right? Everything going for them. But the Ravens showed up big time and had fun in closing out the game too. I know there was some controversy, but I had no problem with what happened at the end of that game.
Okay, so there's 2 sides on that. Luke and I have gone at this because when it happened, I mean, it's a record nobody's ever heard of. Let's start with that, right? So, this isn't Joe DiMaggio here. This isn't the Dolphin Street, right? Although it was a Steeler record. So, there's something to be said for that. But, I mean, I am on Vic Fangio's side of what that is in the scope of taking off my purple goggles. Luke and I went through this week, and this is interesting because you're a Twitter guy. I'm a Twitter guy.
Yep.
I've been doing this so long that I'm just impervious to all of it. I've been called every name, every lie, everything your mother would never want said about you has been said about me. So all of that. So I don't, right and wrong is not, let me see what the people think. No, no. That's not what I do. It's not who I am. So I think it's wrong. I think Harbaugh running the score. I don't, if I were on the outside, I wouldn't like Harbaugh, right? I mean, like the way this is,
yeah,
and
like
Fangio saying, I know how they operate. That's not, you wouldn't want somebody saying that about Dennis Koulatsos that went over and ran a different Coons dealership or went to a different.
But it doesn't have to be accurate either. Fangio is entitled to his opinion, but his opinion doesn't have to be accurate. And again, from my perspective, it's not accurate. To me, it's professional football. And if you don't want the other team doing those type of things, then you have every right to stop them. And that's what they should have done.
I think there's a sportsmanship thing at the end of the game. And I know Harbaugh talked about sportsmanship is when the other team's down 16 points, they do throw the ball. Don't be an idiot. And when you're up 16 points, you take a knee and you get out of there because you had your running back roll his knee up already. You've had 3 running backs roll their knee up and a wide receiver you're trying to. I disagree. I disagree in the moment, and I'm not going to cherry it all up because it's purple and John Harbaugh says so, and I got to be a part of the cult. Well, that's what I'm talking about with the social media thing. Like, Nestor doesn't love Ravens. He's not loyal to John Harbaugh. No, Nestor's not an a-hole that would run up the score or do something to be offensive to the other team when it's unnecessary for some stupid record to pound on my chest and like – all right, good for you, John. Better win the 3rd week of January. That's all that matters. That's really all that matters.
But this is who John is. This should be.
It is who John is.
Right.
It is.
That's why fans. It's the DNA of the Ravens. This is who they are. Right. They live by the sword. They die by the sword. And for me, I applaud them for that. I think it's fun. You know, it is a fun record for the team to have. I think the funniest thing out of it was that Lamar had no idea why John called the running play. He was like, "Why?"
Well, that speaks to how stupid it is.
It could be stupid. It's still out of.
I mean, it speaks to how meaningless in the grand scheme of things it is. But to run that play and run the risk, and it didn't have whatever. I mean, it's over, and you may see Vic Fangio down the line. You may not. One of my former employees, Thurl Nelson, I retweeted him. Everybody listen to Thurl, love Thurl. He said, maybe they didn't like each other back in the day. And I'm thinking,
maybe they did.
You know, like,
look, I don't think it mattered. I think you could have had Tomlin on the other side, Belichick. It doesn't matter. I think this is who they are. It's their DNA. They're fun-loving bunch.
I don't think he did it because it was Vic Fangio. I think he did it because we need to pound on our chest and have records. And
well,
okay.
Again, it was a meaningless record until no one knew about until now. Right now, everybody knows about it.
Now it means something. Right now, it's intact.
Yeah.
So now every team needs to knock off the 100.
Correct.
That's going to be their thing now, right?
Yeah. And I don't think it's going to happen Monday night either. I don't think Indianapolis is capable. And for Von Miller saying we'll see those guys again, you won't see them this year unless you buy a ticket to the playoffs to watch them play because in their division they got the Chargers, they got the Raiders, they got the Chiefs. They're going to go 0-6 in divisional games alone. So I doubt very strongly that the Ravens will see the Broncos this year. Maybe next year during the regular season, but it won't be in the playoffs.
You know, I'm 53 now, and I know you know this, but I've seen some bullies in my day, right? And I'm kind of anti-bully. And it's fascinating to me that the Ravens don't want a team coming in, dancing on their star, doing this, that they're going to stand up and do that, and then they're going to run a cheap play like that. So, they're really, there's 2 sides to that.
But and I'm not the cheap shot. What about
Raven? I'm just saying it was a cheap play. Call it what it is. And if that's the way your bravado rolls, then cool. But when somebody comes in and starts urinating upon your logo in the middle of the field, just know that you've earned that. You've earned that.
But what about the cheap shots that Lamar Jackson took during the game? So to me, it's football. It's no excuses, no whining. And if you don't like what's happening, then stop it. Look, Wink Martindale a couple of years ago was upset that the Bengals kicked a field goal to avoid being shut out. He was wrong in the moment. They have every right to do whatever they want to do as paid professionals. If you don't like it, block the field goal. Your team should have been better prepared.
I agree with that. I'm only taking this stance in such a heavy way because you don't have to always agree with Ravens.com. You know what I'm saying? Not. Like, that sort of rubbed me as, what's wrong with you people? If your father was a sportsman, my father was a coach, like it was unsportsmanlike. It was. Unless you're going to come out there and say, we're 5 yards from a record, buckle your chin strap, then we'll go play football. But to go diving forward with your, that will never not be some little cheap thing. And Now the other teams have the other side of that. The Colts. I find it fascinating this week that guys like you and me don't talk about Bob Irsay or whatever. It's just a game now, right? It's 37 years.
Yeah, you know what? In fact, I thought I saw you tagged by Brandon Scott that he wants to have some kind of a bill or something. That he tagged you and a couple other guys in town that he wants.
He must be bored with COVID because he's supposed to be over at Coco's doing radio with me Friday.
Well, you know what? He says we shouldn't be able to say the name Colts in his town. He wants to ban the name, us even speaking the word Colts. And to me,
that's kind of stupid.
Yeah, I'm way over that. I'm way over that. I'm way past that.
He sounds like a kid who wasn't born when this happened. That's what he sounds like.
I still dislike the franchise. It's number one on my enemies list, followed
by
oh yeah, it's
more than Washington. Really.
It's Colts, Broncos, Washington, Pittsburgh. That's
What do you got against the Broncos?
The John Elway thing. If Elway doesn't get traded,
all they did was make a trade, man. Elway didn't play here.
I still hate the Broncos. If we don't make that trade in, Elway comes to Baltimore. The Colts never move. We went 2 or 3 Super Bowls.
Think of how awful that would have been if the Colts never moved. I mean, seriously, we never would have had. Think about that.
Irsay Senior died eventually, right? So Jimmy took over, and I don't think they could have screwed up a team with John Elway on it.
This is like having a second marriage and being very happy and thinking of 37 years later. I had a girlfriend in 1984.
I don't have any venom. I just dislike the teams. That's all the franchises. It's Colts, Broncos. DC.
This is even worse. This is disliking the guy that fell in love with the girl in '84.
Now
I mean, it's the Broncos. They had nothing to do with it.
Now you see why it would be a perfect fit for Harbaugh's coaching staff because we're like
Chris Hinton.
Chris Hinton. And who was Mark Herman?
Mark Herman. Be mad at Mark Herman.
Oh my gosh! You know what? Worst trade in the history of the NFL, I think.
Well, it got us the Ravens 13 years later. So
we had to wait 13 years, right, to get.
We have future considerations, I think. So
we did. We got.
Hey, by the way, can I ask you about the Urban Meyer thing? Do you have any? You're a leader of men. Hey,
look. You know what? Leader of men make mistakes. The thing with Urban, though, is he has a history of creating a dumpster fire, be it at University of Florida or Ohio State, and then running away in the opposite direction. So to me, this is who he is. This is not a one-time thing. He leaves a steaming pile wherever he goes for somebody else to come in and clean up. So
dude, look at Bobby Petrino. He left a steamer on the desk of Arthur Blank, back to Louisville, and recruits Teddy Bridgewater and Lamar Jackson. It's just like it never, doing it never happened. It is amazing the amnesia that's involved in all of this, right?
Speaking of that, is a USC job open still? You know what I mean? So I don't know. Is that his plague? Was that purposeful? Does he want to get out and go coach the Trojans over there when he can do as he pleases?
Dude, Tommy Tuberville duped 3 different southern states, and then they elected him and sent him to D.C. to be part of an insurrection. So, the college football coaches and basketball, the Rick Pitino, I mean, Huggins, these guys, they're all sort of impervious, right?
They really are.
And Urban Meyer, what was his contract from the Jaguars?
Oh, it's ridiculous.
$80 million. I mean, it's a crazy amount of money. He's going to get every nickel of that. I mean, there's no lawyer that's going to say him having a girl dance with him is going to cost him that money, and he's not going to walk away, right?
Well, you had Eric Bieniemy that was available. You had Josh Daniels available. So if I'm Shad Khan, the owner of the Jaguars, I'm looking for an established NFL coach. With Daniels, he failed in Denver a long time ago. Great offensive coordinator, right? Young quarterback. So they entrust a generational quarterback, potentially generational quarterback, and Trevor Lawrence to Urban Meyer. To me, it was a bad hire from the get-go, from the start. Didn't make any sense to me.
So many qualified coaches. My buddy Marvin's sitting on the couch out in Scottsdale after running the place for 20 years, right? So, there's all sorts of things out there. I'm happy we have the leadership we do, and Harbaugh wants to run the ball great at the end, but then you got to go play. Then you got to go play. It's hard enough to tackle Lamar. You don't want Lamar wearing a black hat too. You know what I mean? That wouldn't. We don't really want to be the bad guys. I don't think that's necessary.
We don't. But it's who they are, though. It's who they are, and they do have a bully mentality. We've had it with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, and they're an aggressive, mean team, and they have the personality of the head coach. And look, and perfect as he is, I'm glad we have him.
Den, I will see you in the winner's circle on Tuesday morning,
Absolutely.
hopefully after a
No-
late Monday night. Get a nap on Monday. I mean, we're all getting a
I
little
am.
older here. You
I
know,
am.
these Monday night games, especially when they start them a half an hour late for Lightning in a $5 billion stadium, but that was last week's story.
90-minute siesta for me. Nestor, you stay well.
That's why we did it down in Venezuela, a little
That's
siesta.
right. In Greece too. Take care. There he goes. Nestor J. Aparicio here at 1570 AM Baltimore Positive. WNST will take a quick break. Come back right after this.